Whatever they are, whatever the film or the Eurovision drama, it's coffee time. This is Emmanuel calling from Coffee Break, where we take a break and discuss about films, Eurovision and much more. Grab yourselves a mug of hot tea or coffee, take a sip and let's dive into this. Let's talk about my 2027 Oscar predictions for Best Actress. This is Emmanuel calling from Coffee Break, where we take a break and discuss about films, Eurovision and much more. Grab yourselves a mug of hot tea or coffee, take a sip and let's dive into this. Let's talk about my 2027 Best Actress Oscar predictions. So I'm going to talk about a bunch of actresses who I think have a shot at getting in at the Oscars, and I'm going to give you at the end of the video my final prediction for the Best Actress category as of July. So the first actress who I'm going to talk about here is of course Julianne Moore for The Debut, which is Jesse Eisenberg's upcoming film, and it recently had its first trailer shown and she looks like she's going to give a very flashy and big, emotional, dramatic performance in Jesse Eisenberg's upcoming film, whose last film won an Oscar for Kieran Culkin in Best Supporting Actor. So Jesse Eisenberg seems to be very good at directing actors, and she and Paul Giamatti, who we'll talk about in a future video about my supporting actor predictions, look like both give career-defining performances, honestly. And Julianne Moore has won an Oscar before for Still Alice and feels like an actress who's got to have 2 Oscars, and this could definitely be a vehicle for her. She hasn't been in the awards conversation in a while, maybe for May-December, but I haven't watched that film and I'm not sure how close she was. I mean, she did get in at a few precursors, but there hasn't been a movie that showcases her immense talent like The Debut seems like going to do. So she's a lock for now. And then I have Mikey Madison for The Social Reckoning. I have no idea what she's talking about in the first few seconds of that trailer that dropped, but she's Mikey Madison and she just won for Anora and she's a fresh face, and I can definitely see her come back at the Oscars as a nominee, and it's a lead performance in an Aaron Sorkin film, his last film being The Ricardons, got in at 3 acting categories, and she is going to be very credible in the film, it seems like. And Mikey Madison is a very good actress and might pull off another Oscar nomination. I don't think she'll get close to winning unless the film is very good. But even if the film misses at one of the major above-the-line categories like Best Picture or Director or Adapted Screenplay, she still could come along for the ride, along with Jeremy Strong, of course. And then I have Sandra Hüller for either Rose or Fatherland. I'm going to go with Rose here because Fatherland seems like a lone cinematography nomination or a cinematography and international feature nomination. It doesn't really feel like an awards juggernaut the way that we were talking about it earlier on in the season. I mean, it's already early on this season, but there has been screenings of it at the Cannes Film Festival and the reception hasn't been glowing for the awards prospects that we were sort of projecting on it. And Sandra Hüller has already won an award at the Berlin Film Festival for Rose, and it's such a Beatty performance. I mean, she dresses up as a man and it's just such a Beatty performance from an actress who also has an incredible 2026. She's also in Project Hail Mary and Digger and Fatherland, so Rose could have a lone nomination for Sandra Hüller in Best Actress. It might get in at International Feature if Germany submits it, who knows, but as of right now I have to have Sandra Hüller for something, right? And Rose seems like the safer bet here. And then I have Ruth Medley for Being Human, who is going to play a disabled person in a movie about disability, and it's from the director of Coda, which won Best Picture, of course, and Screenplay and Best Supporting Actor. And this one is a book adaptation, and it could also translate to a Best Director Oscar nomination, because we don't have that many female contenders in the Best Actor in the Best Director category, and she wasn't nominated for Coda, so she could get her first nomination for this one. And even though we haven't had a trailer yet, it seems like a movie that is going to have a big push for it. It's distributed by Apple, and it's going to have a very strong campaign, I assume, and there hasn't been much to convince me that it's not going to be an awards movie. And Ruth Medley, if she gives a performance worth nominating, she could definitely get in, even if the film misses on picture or screenplay or director. I think that she could have this kind of outcome. And then before I give you my final predictions as of July, I'm going to talk about a few other names that I have floating around. Emily Blunt in Disclosure Day is an astonishing powerhouse. She's so mesmerizing in that film. She's funny, emotional, dramatic. There is so much power to that performance. She's phenomenal in Disclosure Day, which is currently my favorite movie of 2026. I gave it a 10 out of 10, called it a masterpiece, and she's so phenomenal in that movie. And I have my doubts about Disclosure Day getting in a picture. I don't think that it has that much of a chance anymore. It could get in a bunch of techs like visual effects and sound and editing and score, definitely for John Williams, and it could come along for the ride in picture like F1, for instance. But Emily Blunt is so phenomenal in the movie, and it would be such a snub if the Oscars didn't give her the nomination. And then Michelle Williams for A Place in Hell. This is a commercial thriller from the director of Fair Play, which had very good performances. As I've heard, I've not watched the movie for myself, but Michelle Williams is an actress who, if we nominate her, we have to give her the Oscar. I mean, she's had so many great performances that were Oscar nominated, but she hasn't won. And if A Place in Hell becomes an awards movie, then she could definitely come along and definitely could sweep the season and win. But I just don't think that it's going to be an awards movie, because I have some skepticism about it. For instance, it's a thriller and she's supposed to be a ruthless lawyer, I believe. This could be a baby girl situation, because Nicole Kidman was very flashy and got a lot of critical acclaim for her performance in that movie, but it didn't really go anywhere beyond a Golden Globe nomination. So it could be a similar situation with A Place in Hell, even though it has a late release date, and it also has a Best Supporting Actress prospect for Daisy Edgar-Jones, who could coattail Michelle Williams, and she could get in as a lone nominee, and the movie doesn't have to get in at picture, director, and screenplay. Renata Reinsva for Fjord. Renata Reinsva is having a very prolific period in her career as of right now. She has been in so many critically acclaimed movies, and she was in Backrooms earlier on this year, and she's such a beloved actress. She's having a moment here, and she is coming off her first Oscar nomination for Sentimental Value. I just don't think that Fjord is going to overperform in that way. I don't think that it gets in a picture and director and international feature and other categories. I think that it mostly is a contender at best original screenplay, and it could be a lone nominee in that category, and it could get its only nomination in that category. So I don't have room for either Sebastian Stan or Renata Reinsva, even though I've heard that she's really good in the movie from the people who watched it at the Cannes Film Festival. And even though she doesn't have the scene, she could come along for the ride if the movie is a picture and director and other above the line categories, which I currently don't think it will, so I don't have her in, but she's on my radar definitely. And then I have Frances McDormand for Joel Coen's upcoming film Jack of Spades. I know next to nothing about that movie, only that it's a period movie and is directed by Joel Coen, who has had award success even after his solo career, like The Tragedy of Macbeth, which got an Oscar nomination for Denzel Washington. And you could argue that it was Denzel Washington and the Academy loves him, but I could argue back that it's Frances McDormand, a 3-time Oscar winner, in potentially an Oscar baity movie from an successful filmmaker. I just don't know enough about the movie to predict her right now, but I definitely am keeping an eye out for Frances McDormand in Jack of Spades. And finally, before I give you my final slot, I have to talk about Rinko Kikuchi for Ha-chan Shake Your Booty. I know that this title, combined with the actress who has been, she's a previously nominated actress. She's an Oscar nominated actress for Babel, I believe, Alejandro Iñárritu's Babel, but it has been a while since she has been in the awards conversation, and this was a Sundance film. It could be an If I Had Legs I'd Kick You type of situation where she gets in and the movie gets in nowhere else, which is dangerous place to be. She could pull it off. She could pull off a lone indie spirit nomination, and similar to John Turturro, even though they might have the performance, their movie might not be strong enough to get them in. Who knows? She might get a Critics' Choice nomination and then maybe SAG or Actor Awards or whatever nominate her, and then she becomes a staple of the category. Who knows? Maybe she's the surprise 5th slot who gets in even though nobody saw it coming. Who knows? Again. But Rinko Kikuchi is definitely one to look out for. And then finally, I have to give you my final predictions as of July. And the actress who I have at my final slot as of right now is Juliette Binoche for Queen at Sea. This is a film that premiered at the Berlin Film Festival, and from the bits and pieces of the trailer that I have seen, she seems to give a very big emotional performance, and it has been a while since she's been in the awards conversation, and she could be the veteran actress who gets in. And having said all that, the movie, I believe, doesn't have a distributor yet, so this definitely is a warning sign that this might not go anywhere. But her name alone and the clips that I've seen she seems to have the performance to get in, and the movie might be a critical darling enough to garner her a nomination, even if it's a lone nomination, even if the film doesn't get in another acting category or picture. But she could be a Best Actress contender, and I currently have her in. I mean, she's an Oscar winner and a previously Oscar nominated actress. This is not the first time that we nominate her. So it would be, I would love for Juliette Binoche to return as a nominee for Best Actress. And I did actually see her when she visited the Thessaloniki International Film Festival. I didn't get to talk to her, but I was in the auditorium when she, along with Rafe Fiennes, presented, actually got awarded for the Golden Alexander Award, and then we all watched The English Patient. I watched it for the first time, and she gave such a beautiful speech, and it was so beautiful, and I just love Juliette Binoche, and she has been an actress who has appeared in many films, more underground films, European films, and of course Hollywood films, and I would just love for her to return at the Oscars. And in the field of 5, I have her in for a lack of a better alternative. So my final prediction for Best Actress at the 2027 Oscars as of July is Julianne Moore for The Debut, Mikey Madison for The Social Reckoning, Sandra Hüller for Rose, Ruth Medley for Being Human, and Juliette Binoche for Queen at Sea. And that is a wrap. Thanks so much for watching, I do appreciate it. Also, make sure to follow me on multiple social media platforms, including Letterboxd, for more film-related content, and X and Pinterest. The links are in the description. Can't wait for more coffee breaks, and until next time, pour yourself a fresh one.